everybody? Mr. The Fanboy here, back for another review. And this time, this is my review of the March 16th edition of Impact Wrestling. I'm also going to talk about some other Impact Wrestling news that I meant to do in another video before this review, but I never got around to doing it, so I will be combining it with this review of Impact Wrestling. As always, what a phenomenal show, what a phenomenal episode of Impact Wrestling. Another awesome episode of TNA Impact Wrestling, man. Um the show the show the show the show opened up with a recap of what happened last week, the title controversy from last week, and then wasn't paying attention to this part, but there was a meeting where where Dutch Mantel and Bruce Pritchard told Alberto Patron that they can't make a match. They can only make the match if if Alberto asks Bobby Lashley to give him another title match, something like that, and then Alberto El Patron makes his way to the ring, and takes the mic. And first off, I love the promo. He talks about how awesome Impact Wrestling is and how good it feels to be there and how he can be himself. How he can be himself. He doesn't have to listen to other people. He doesn't have to be careful with his words. He can say whatever he damn well pleases, and that's true because he's, like I said, Alberto Del Rio in WWE is the most boring personality I've ever seen. But anywhere outside of WWE, he's awesome. And then he talks about how he proved himself by defeating the unstoppable Bobby Lashley. He says that politics are the reason he is a champion. He then calls out Bobby Lashley, but instead EC3 comes out and EC3 tells him that he just can't walk in here. He just can't walk in here. He just can't walk in here and demand a title shot and that he did the right thing by relinquishing the title last week because he said he should earn it. And then EC3 challenges Alberto El Patron to a match, but Patron says he challenged Lashley, not him. Then he leaves the ring. Ethan Carter then insults him and tells him to come back to the ring. Alberto returns to the ring and says he is not here to fight. Says he is here to fight Lashley, not his bitch. That's what he said. And EC3 and Alberto Rio start brawling with Alberto unwilling on EC3, and EC3 smiling, knowing he's got in his head. Then Alberto Patron gets out of the ring and runs back up to the stage where they continue fighting, and security separates with the crowd chanting them, let them fight. And so now EC3 has what he wants, a match with El Patron later tonight. Then of course later, oh yes, Eli Drake and Tyrus faced the debuting Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid in an awesome tag team match. Garza Jr. I've been a huge fan of his since 2015 when I saw him in the AAA promotion. He's the nephew of the late Hector Garza, who of course this guy, he was featured in TNA's early days, but he got deported back to Mexico for getting in trouble with some steroids, and of course everyone knows he died in 2013 of lung cancer. Happy to see Garza Jr. in TNA, and I'm also a huge fan of Laredo Kid, who I didn't remember. I first saw him in AAA, in the AAA promotion at Triple Mania 2009, but I didn't realize it was him. My first real introduction to him was he was a wrestler here in Georgia for the promotion NWA Anarchy, a darkie. And then I remember he was briefly in WWE on NXT, and now he's in TNA. That's cool. And these luchadors appearing in TNA are the result of TNA's relationship with Conan's Crash Wrestling promotion, something like that. But this was an awesome match, especially Garza Jr.'s entry into the match. Including one cool spot I love in every match. Garza Jr. He always starts every match with clothes on. Then he always strips his pants and shirts off for to the joy of the crowd. Then the match ended in spectacular fashion where Eli Drake hit a backdrop into fallaway slam onto Garza Jr. Then he hit a Celtic cross on Laredo Kid, but Garza Jr. Managed to win by pinning Eli Drake with a schoolboy for the 1-2-3. Like I said, phenomenal match. Next is oh yes, this is another funny segment. The debuting Casey Quinn comes out for her match against Brandy Rhodes. Before the match can happen, Cody Rhodes interferes in the match and says TNA is not allowed to Impact Wrestling is not allowed to pimp out the Rhodes name without the Rhodes name unless it's under his terms. And then in a funny moment he gives Casey he asks Casey her name, and he gives her $45 not to have a match. Cody then jokingly says, "Oh, it's $20 more you would have got for what they were actually going to pay you." And then she refuses. Woman refuses it, and Cody stops the match. And then during the commercial break, Rosemary comes in and attacks Casey Quinn from behind. Then, of course, oh yes, now it's time for the match of the night. El Patron versus Ethan Carter III. What a phenomenal match. What a phenomenal back and forth match it was. EC3 at one point in the match he had it won where he could have came in and let his emotions get the best of him by using a steel chair and giving El Patron a concerto, but he decided and tossed the chair out the ring and decided she get in position for the 3-percenter, and instead El Patron reversed it by giving him an arm to knee maneuver, then hitting him with a stiff low kick to the left side of his head. Then he hit him in the arm bar, and EC3 tried to fight it, but he couldn't, and he had no choice but to tap. EC3 then eventually leaves the ring, but El Patron brings him back in the ring and tells him and asks him to shake his hand. EC3 is reluctant at first. The crowd tells him to shake his hand, and he shakes the guy's hand. Earning El Patron's respect. Great moment, great match, and great moment. At the end of the great match and moment. Then of course main event time. A four-way match between Trevor Lee with Shane Helms versus Braxton Stutter with Ali, Andrew Everett, and versus the returning Suicide. Of course, Caleb Conley is the one reportedly is the one under the Suicide mask and costume. Phenomenal match here. The story of the match was Laurel Van Ness showing up in the crowd eating what looks like cake, eating cake, and then she grabbed Ali during the match, which distracted Sutter, Sutter, and Trevor Lee strikes Sutter with the kick and pins him for the 1-2-3. The final segment of the match had Decay coming out telling Pritchard to address to give them the titles when Pritchard comes out to address the tag team title situation that he also promised. I didn't talk about this, but he also promised to address this earlier in the show. And then of course Reno Scum, they comes out and they make their pitch to become tag team champions to Bruce. Then of course Laredo Kid and Garza Jr. come out and get into the mix. Then of course each of the teams start brawling, but then L.A.X music hits and Conan and Homicide with a brand new group of members, Diamante, Angel, and Draztik. They all attack and lay out everyone in the ring. They lay out everyone on the outside, including they lay out everyone outside, and then Conan grabs the mic and says that L.A.X is back in the cut and they are serious like a late period, something like that. So happy L.A.X is back. However, disappointed that Hernandez is not part of this team. Hope he returns in the future, since a lot of people will be returning. Like I said, this was an awesome episode of Impact, and like I said, I never got around to doing it, but I was gonna combine this with more Impact Wrestling news. As you all know that Anthem Sports is now trying to sue the Hardy Boys. Because they claim they own the Broken Hardy character. Jeff Hardy talks about wanting to introduce the Broken Hardy stuff to the WWE. Then of course, it was also mentioned that TNA, the viewership, while the viewership for last week's edition of Impact Wrestling was down, lots of people tuned in to TNA's website to buy TNA's merchandise, TNA's merchandise, and then of course in one of my previous videos I said I wanted several wrestlers to come back to TNA, like Magnus and Masters, and on the upcoming weeks of Impact Wrestling, they will be back. They will be in some kind of Survivor Series like tag team match, represented by both Borash and Matthews, who are feuding with each other, and yeah, so those two guys will be back. Also, Matt Morgan will be returning. So like I said, TNA is tearing it up. Only problem I have with TNA, since they're now under Jeff Jarrett, Rockstar Spud probably won't be featured as much. As he was previously. Now that Jeff Jarrett is back and there's been a change in creative, but TNA, man, is tearing it up. The Suicide character, really happy the Suicide character is back. However, I don't like the fact they got Caleb Conley, who already has a gimmick to play it. I usually like them to give the Suicide character to wrestlers who are not entertaining, who don't really have much of a gimmick and really can't get over. But that's just me. So, but like I said, TNA is always awesome. Another awesome edition of Impact Wrestling. All right, I'm done.
to the